Some real interesting statements have been made by Justin Gaethje leading to this fight with Tony Ferguson. And when I tell you they're interesting, I'm into them. I'm into them big time because it's one of two things. Either Justin Gaethje, for the first time in his career, is coming out and saying anything less than I'm completely invincible, I'm tougher than everybody, I can grind with anybody. Oh, and by the way, I have Division I wrestling that I've never shown you guys that I can always default back to. And some variety of that has always kind of been the Justin Gaethje approach. And for this fight, and a lot of it did have to do with the fact that he stepped in on short notice. But for this fight, he's not saying those things. In fact, he's being what I look at as very realistic, a very, very realistic approach. He started when this fight was April 18th, just to remind you. And he was given about 9 days at that point. It might have been 8 days, but broad stroke, you know what I'm saying. And he said, look, for me to win this fight, I'm going to have to get his ass out of there in 10 to 12 minutes. If I don't, in fact, if this goes into rounds 4 and 5, you better hope that you bet on Tony. Now, that was just a totally different statement by Gaethje, but it was still pretty realistic, and I didn't look at that as a concession in the least. I looked at it as a guy that knew I got to go out and get him out of there. And Justin Gaethje's got great hands. Justin Gaethje's got a ton of knockouts. You'd be very hard-pressed to give Tony Ferguson very many critiques. But if you studied his career and you wanted to come with a final analysis that he does get punched, particularly within the first 3 minutes of a fight, you'd be within your lanes to do that. So if that's what Gaethje's looking at, if that's what he's referring to, it's very interesting. But he hasn't stopped. He's been making more interesting statements, and it came out that he had said, I would not take a short notice fight against Khabib. Now, he furthered that by saying, if Khabib is going to come out and treat me the way he's treated everybody else, which is to get a takedown or two in the first round, and I'm going to have to find my way back up to my feet, I'm going to need 10 weeks to train for that. What I found interesting is guys don't take Gaethje down, and Gaethje, I think, does forget that as good as he is at fighting, he hadn't won and he won't ever win a tenth of as many fights and fighting as he did in wrestling. He's a damn good wrestler that just doesn't go out and do it, and he's a damn good wrestler defensively as well. So if he's conceding takedowns to Khabib, I thought that it was an interesting point. Also, mutual opponent, Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier weighed in on that and said, you know what? I think if anybody in the division has the best chance to beat Khabib, it's Justin Gaethje. So the fact that Gaethje's looking at Khabib and saying that somebody's saying, I just like the realistic approach myself. And I am wondering, is he being very realistic and he's understanding that he's got to put his foot down on the pedal? He's got to match him blow for blow, breath for breath. I mean, one of the intangibles about Tony is that pace. One of the things, if you're ever going to try to find an opponent that you really think has a chance to beat Khabib, just like if you were going to find anybody that you really thought had a chance to beat Georges St-Pierre, the first box you have to check is, can they be there at the end of the fight? That's a little bit harder thing for the audience to view. It's a little bit harder thing for announcers to talk about. But athletes themselves know that, and they know that before that door ever shuts. And if you're ever going to have confidence over your opponent, it's because you believe that question and no other. You do not care as an athlete who's more powerful. You don't care who's faster. Broad stroke, of course you're observing these things. That's not where your confidence is going to come from. You don't care who's got more experience or who's got the darker colored belts. You care about one thing. If the end of the night comes and we're both here, do I have what it takes to still be able to defend myself? If you believe the answer to that is yes, you will have confidence going to the fight. If you question that in the least, you will not. For Justin Gaethje to come out and speak on this openly, say these guys knew what they were training for, I didn't even know if I had a fight, I'm going to step in, I'm going to do my best, but I also understand I got to get him out of there. I like it. I think it's fair. I think it's reasonable. I don't think that's something that Tony should ever hear and think that he's getting a concession. I think Tony needs to take Justin at his word. This is just my gut feeling. It could be gamesmanship, but my gut feeling says you should take Justin at his word. You should believe him. He's going to come out. He's going to be hand heavy in the first few minutes. You might want to get a hold of him. You might want to clutch him up, even if you've got to pull guard. Whatever it takes to get a few of those minutes, get that sweat going and wear him down. I feel as though if you can't trust somebody when they tell you something, when somebody tells you something, listen, because they're revealing themselves.